Hi, this is Denise Matthew, and welcome to part 2 of The Voice of Creation, where we'll explore what is considered to be the place where all the magic and manifestation lives, and also where we give voice to our creations, the throat center. In part 1, we talked about how the throat center definition determines your HD type, what it means to have an open or defined non-motorized throat, and strategies that work best when you have a non-motorized throat, whether it's defined or open. Today, we're going to talk about the motorized throat, what human design types have this type of configuration, as well as how it works in the manifestation process and how you are heard in the world. We've already talked about the 60% or so of people who have non-motorized throats, who are projectors, generators, and reflector types. So let's dive in and discover a little more about the motorized throat in human design. That means today we're going to focus on the other two types, or the remaining 40% of the population, manifestors and manifesting generators, both of whom have motorized throats. As I said in part 1, according to Jovian archives, manifestors make up about 10% of the population, and manifesting generators make up about 30% of the population. And since we're talking about these two types solely today, it doesn't hurt to have a quick review of how the two types are similar, as well as how they differ. When we talk about a manifestor type, we're talking about someone who always has an open sacral, as well as a motorized throat. In fact, having a motorized throat is the only way that a manifestor differs from a projector in configuration, and that motorized throat has a huge impact on their strategy. And when we're talking about strategy, we're talking about the human design strategy of each type, which allows that type to have the best experience in life. Projectors are here to wait for acknowledgement or invitations. Reflectors are here to have a moon cycle. Manifestors are here to initiate. And generator types are always here to respond to something from the outside world. Having a motorized throat means a manifestor is a true initiator, and in this way they don't need anyone for their creative process. All they need is their own inspiration. And when they have that, they can inform those people who will be impacted by their creative process. And then it's pure initiation, and it's all about them doing whatever they want to initiate. When we talk about a manifesting generator, we have someone who has a defined sacral and also a motorized throat, or a motor that is directly or indirectly connected to the throat. And just like the difference between the manifestor and the projector, the only difference between a pure generator and a manifesting generator is that a manifesting generator has a motorized throat. And what that means is that a manifesting generator has the same strategy as a pure generator type. A problem that manifesting generators can have, especially when they have manifesting channels defined, is that they may try to create like a manifestor because they get fooled by their power into believing that they can just go out and initiate. And what happens is that 9 out of 10 times when a manifestor generator goes out and tries to initiate things, things don't go as expected, and that can leave them both angry and frustrated. So like I just mentioned, all types in human design have a strategy that helps them get the best out of life, and it also has them having more hits than misses. And it's all about responding to something in their outside reality when you're any type of a generator type. And one more thing about manifesting generators is that they're an interesting type since they have a splicing of two human design types, which are manifestors and generators. So what this means is that a manifesting generator is actually using two strategies. So that means they're responding to something in their outside world, but they're also informing anybody who will be impacted by what they respond to. So what this means is that a manifesting generator is actually using two strategies. So that means they're responding to something in their outside world, but they're also informing anybody who will be impacted by what they respond to. And just like they have a double strategy of sorts, they can have the anger of a manifestor as well as the frustration of a generator type when they are in their shadow. Now that we can see the unique differences between the two types, let's talk about how they are similar. First of all, according to human design, the theory is that when you have a motorized throat, you can potentially manifest things faster into your life, since the throat center is considered the center for manifestation, or also called a gearbox. And ultimately, the more energy that gets to the throat, the better. Having a motorized throat means it's like driving a car to your destination as opposed to a bicycle. You'll get to your destination with both modes of transit, but the car will get you there much faster. Even if you don't have a motorized throat, electromagnetics and also planetary transits can help you speed up the energy to the throat by getting a motor to your throat, even if that's not the way your body graph is naturally configured. In other words, somebody who is a projector type or also a pure generator type can benefit greatly from electromagnetics as well as planetary transits. What that means is, according to human design, projectors and generators are people who need people to manifest things in their lives, and reflectors are people who need a community and who are deeply connected to the moon cycle and its transits to manifest. Manifestors and manifesting generators are people who in theory don't need people to manifest things in their lives. Of course, that doesn't mean that they don't want to be with people. It's more about energetics than it is about emotional connections or needing or wanting to have people around you. For more information on how electromagnetics and planetary transits work, you can check out part 1 of The Voice of Creation, as well as the video I made called How Reflectors Can Navigate Their Moon Cycle. And also I have 2 other videos called Electromagnetics and Electromagnetics in Planetary Connections, as well as Human Connections. And I'll leave the link below. Now, if we get back to the manifestors and the manifesting generators, another way that they are similar is that they are more easily heard and also don't need an invitation into conversations to be heard best. They can usually just go ahead and say what they want to say without being prompted or invited into conversations. And to understand more about that, or what an invitation into conversation means, check out part 1 of the Voice of Creation series if you're interested. So now that we know about the similarities and differences in the manifesting generators and manifestors, let's focus on people who are manifestor types and how they can be configured. As I said before, if someone is a manifestor, they'll always have an open sacral and a direct or indirect link of a motor to the throat. But the motor to the throat can only be one of 3 different motors because they always have an undefined sacral, which means they will never have the sacral connected to the throat. So a manifestor can only have a will connected to the throat, the solar plexus connected to the throat, or the root connected to the throat. Of course, there can be more complicated and convoluted roots that get a motor to the throat, but let's go through some direct roots that are also called manifested channels. And when we talk about a manifested channel, we're talking about a channel that takes a motor directly to the throat without having to go through another center to get there. There are only 4 manifested channels, and since the connection is direct, they're considered to be quite powerful, with the 3420 being the most powerful of them all. I'll talk more about that in just a minute. So in no particular order, the manifesting channels that a manifestor can have are the 4521, where the will center is directly connected to the throat, and the other 2 manifesting channels that a manifestor can have are the 3536 and also the 1222, and they both connect the emotional center directly to the throat. And as I said before, there are more paths for a motor to the throat, but they're always going to go through another center. So you can see with these examples how the energy has to go through, the energy of the motor has to go through another center before it finally gets to the throat. In this case, the energy comes from the will center, it goes through the identity center, and then finally goes to the throat center. And in this one, we see that it goes to the will center, then the identity center, and then it kind of goes on a right angle before it gets to the throat center as well. So it takes a different route. As long as you can follow the route as though it's a highway that doesn't have any stopping points, that will be how you can tell how things are getting to different parts, especially to the throat. And another thing to keep in mind is that there is no limit on the number of motors that can have access to the throat. In fact, a manifestor can have 3 motors connected to the throat, as you can see here. And a manifesting generator can have 4 motors connected to the throat. Although it's not common, it's definitely possible. Now, if we move on to a manifesting generator, as I said before, they will always have a defined sacral or a red square at the lower end of the body graph. A manifesting generator can have the same manifesting channels defined as a manifestor, but they can also have a manifesting channel that is unique to a manifesting generator, which is called the channel 3420. The 3420 is considered to be one of the most powerful channels that a manifesting generator can have, and also a channel that can potentially fool a manifesting generator into feeling like a manifestor, since the 3420, or the channel of power and charisma, brings the most powerful motor in human design, the sacral, directly to the throat. The 3420 is also part of the incarnation cross of the sleeping phoenix, which is a cross that is said to have an integral part to play in the human design shift, also called the beginning of the solar plexus mutation cycle, and that is supposed to happen in the year 2027. I'll definitely talk more about 2027 in a future video, but for now, let's get back to the channel 3420. And another interesting thing about the channel 3420 is we're talking about the type of energy that can really run circles around everyone else. And a lot of people can't do the kind of things that somebody with a 3420 can do. They can usually be the true epitome of a workaholic. And when you carry the energy of the 3420, you're the type of manifesting generator that's considered a pure manifesting generator. And it's also the type of energy that moves so fast that sacral sounds may not work for somebody with a 3420. The aha or is too slow. So with somebody with a 3420, it might be just as easy just to say yes or no rather than the standard sacral sounds. And if you want more information on the sacral response and the sounds, check out my videos on the generators and also the manifesting generators, and I'll leave the link below. And just like the manifestor, there are many ways other than the manifesting channels that a motor can get to the throat. And there are too many to actually talk about or show you right now, but here are a few images of different ways that the body graph can look based on different types of manifesting generators who don't have the standard manifesting channels. Well, that's all I have for you today, and please be sure to check out future episodes of The Voice of Creation, where I'll go into more detail about the throat channels and gates, and especially the 3420, which is one of the 3 special channels that are called oppositions. In other words, where the 2 gates that make up the channel can rub up against each other, and they're opposing energies, and because of this can be a big theme in your life. Until then, take care, and I'll see you again soon.